Last year, I made a 20-minute video complaining about the LilyGo T-Deck Plus while testing my local mesh. In that video, I expressed my frustrations with the lack of the functionality of the touchscreen. Overall, this was a very unresponsive screen. And, well, now things may have changed. So today, we're going to install MeshCore, but not MeshCore. We're going to install MeshCore Lite, and I'm going to show you how right now, and then you'll get to see why I think MeshCore Lite is a better option for the LilyGo T-Deck Plus. Let's get started. So today we are going to install MeshCore Lite, and we're going to do it on this LilyGo T-Deck keyboard. We will need some sort of micro SD card to get this up and running. If you do like these videos, please consider sharing them out and subscribing so I can get myself a new camera. More importantly, today we're going to need a micro SD card that is between 8 gigabytes and 32 gigabytes. In the description below, I will post a link to MeshCore Lite and the GitHub repository that we're going to be utilizing today. And the cool thing about this is it has all the screenshots that you need to see on how great that this software actually can be on your LilyGo T-Deck Plus or even your LilyGo Ultra watch. And here is how simple it is, everybody. We're going to click on this MCLite Flash Now option, and we're going to plug a USB-C cable into our computer and into our LilyGo. With that USB-C cable plugged in, go ahead and click on Flash Now. And this is how easy it is. It has become so much easier. We can click on either T-Deck Plus or T-Watch Ultra. I'm going to use the T-Deck Plus today, the firmware source being the MCLite or MeshCore Lite. And this will run on the MeshCore network. And now we're going to put our actual T-Deck Plus into DFU mode. Let me show you how to do that. Now, we've already followed step one, which is to plug in our USB-C cable. And they make it so easy. Look at this. Click the next step. Slide the power switch to off. Okay. The power switch is located here on the side of the LilyGo T-Deck. Next up, it says that, let's see, hold the trackball down. And then as we're holding the trackball down, keep it down and do not release it until the nut. Okay, cool. I'm going to hold the trackball down. And our final step is to slide the power switch on. The trackball is still being held down. And now release the trackball. And once we do that, it should be in DFU mode. So what we're going to do is click Mark as Ready. And here it says, what do you want to do? Run the installer. Let's click on Install MCLite. Look how easy this is. Now we do get this pop-up here that occurs and it says, hey, we want to access your serial port. And what we're going to do is we're going to page down until we see USB JTAG serial debug unit. And that is going to be our LilyGo T-Deck in DFU mode. Let's go ahead and click connect. And then there's going to be a button here that says install MCLite on the T-Deck Plus. Now we have an option. Do we want to erase the device before we install MCLite? I am going to do so, and I'm going to click next. All the data on the device will be erased if we do this. That's cool. And I'll be right back after it gets done erasing and installing. It's just been a few moments, and look at this, install complete. Let's go ahead and click on that next button. And when we click on this next button, it asks us if we want to install the MCLite T-Deck again, which is kind of interesting. Let's do this. Let's click the X button, and then let's go ahead and let's press the RST button on the actual T-Deck Plus to reboot. The reset button is located on the opposite side as the power switch, and you probably have a physical button here, but I don't, so I'm just going to tap that reset button. Now that we've hit the RST button, it resets everything and takes it out of DFU mode or programming mode. And now we can configure the SD card. I'm going to plug my SD card into my SD card slot on my computer. And after we put in our SD card and click config, we're prompted with this amazing screen that says welcome to MCLite. And we have three options to choose from. I'm going to use the most basic option to set this up, and that's the setup wizard, where it guides you through what to do. Today we have one device that's going to be set up. Let's go ahead and click next. I'm located in the US/Canada. Click next. And now in step 3, we get to add channels. The public channel could be added automatically, as you see here. There is no channel in my area called MeshCore Lite. And you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know what channels are available in my area? For this episode, I learned how to use Google, and I found the Chicagoland mesh, which happens to coincide with my area. And here I went to guides, and then I went to the MeshCore, and I went to getting started, configuring, and I found a list here of all the channels that are available in my area. Of course, this might be different for you. And what I would do is suggest that if you don't have a local mesh website like this, that you get onto Mesh and try to find a repeater, and you start asking in the public channel what channels are available in your area. And most of the times you will find people chatting on the public channels, even if there's a very well established list of channels in the area. And so let's go ahead and add some of these. Now, the cool thing is the channel names coincide with some of those long secret keys you saw, right? So I just need to type in Chicago and Shy Mesh. And what else was there? There was suburbs. I know that there's Northwest Burbs as well. Let's go ahead and add test is always a really good channel where people are testing out everything that they're working on and their configurations and just seeing if they can get out messages onto the mesh. And, you know, I'm a fan of ham radio, so I'm going to add the ham radio channel that's in the Chicagoland area. I think you get the point. This is where we get to add the channels. Now, I will add private channels later to my setup, but I won't do it via a computer. If you wish to add private channels, it says right here, private channels require a shared secret key, and you could add them in the config tool after the wizard. Just want to make one more note about how great having a website for your local mesh is. And if you're really looking to grow your local mesh, look into doing something like the Chicagoland mesh does, or Cascadia mesh as well does, or even the Austin mesh. All the cool kids are doing it. And now we click next, and we have the option to enable GPS, which will help with time sync. I will do that, but I will also caution you that if you enable GPS, your battery consumption might be worse than you would hope for. Now, share location with contacts. I'm going to click no because people don't, for this scenario, need to know my location. But hey, what if you're using this for search and rescue, or if you're climbing a mountain? You might actually want to enable the share location in case you get lost. People could find you a lot easier. Let's go ahead now and click next. Now, whatever you choose for channels, great. And once you're done, you get to the summary screen. And most people will want to, at this point, click export config JSON. But I want to show you a very important thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on edit config. Clicking on edit config gives us this screen, which allows us to do in more depth configuration of our T-Deck. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my name. Let's call this DT Portable. And that means Do Tested Portable. It's a great thing, and always kind of keep your private key private. And if you have a private key, keep a copy of the actual key number. And the reason I tell you that is if you ever lose the device, you could use that private key to essentially reestablish that you're that same person. But remember just a moment ago, I was telling you how great it was to have a local website like Chicagoland Mesh that has guides and tutorials and information about everything that we need. We're going to configure some extra stuff in here. So let's go ahead and click on radio. When we click on radio, we're presented with a screen, and that screen doesn't help us too much. For example, it does give us the option for US Canada, but if we're looking at the Chicagoland Mesh website and it tells us that we need to set the coding rate to 8, I can't do that anywhere until I click on the expert mode that you see in the upper left-hand side of the screen. Once I do that, you can see that custom has now become available, and I'm going to click it, and everything stays the same, except we see here coding rate, and we're going to set that to 4/8. Now I'm really nerding out, and I can't wait to get on the mesh, but I did recognize this here as well. It says for companions, the path hash mode is found under experimental settings. And this is talking about MeshCore and the whole MeshCore ecosystem. So we need to find somewhere in our configuration tool that allows us to set the hash mode to 2. And let's just for fun click on this advanced parameters. Right here under advanced parameters, path hash mode, and we're going to set it to 2. That means there's 3 byte hops. That also means if you're not using MeshCore Lite, or maybe you're using an older firmware version, that you update to something, or just even the MeshCore stuff, that you update to a firmware greater than 1.10. And then it's asking us about a periodic advert. Now, that's the amount of times it sends out as something, a signal that says, hey, I'm DT Portable. Now, as I read this, I don't believe that there's a standard advert time for anything like a companion node. For repeaters, there are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to set it to something like every 10 hours. Off-grid mode is pretty cool sounding. Basically, I think it works as a repeater in situations where you might need some sort of repeater, like search and rescue operations. Let's go ahead and leave that off for now. At this point, I can click on things like Wi-Fi and configure my Wi-Fi so I can get automatic updates. And I can click on contacts, channels. Let's click on channels real quick, and we see all those different channels that we've created here. In case we need to remove them or add them, we could do that in this screen. It's also great because here we can configure everything from our display settings by clicking on display on the left-hand side to our sound settings. So here I clicked on sound on the left-hand side, and I'm going to turn those sound notifications off because they did get pretty cumbersome the first time I heard them. GPS and time. GPS is enabled. We've kind of spoke about all this already. And finally, battery and low battery alert. I do want to put that on, and we're going to make it a 10% alert threshold. Regardless, you've now set up or configured MeshCore Lite with local settings that you might have. And we're going to click on export now. Clicking on export will allow us to download this file, and then we will extract it to our SD card. Here it says, next, set up your SD card. After we clicked export, and it says unzip and copy all the contacts to the root of your SD card, insert the SD card and power on. So here I'm going to click extract all, and I'm going to extract it to the location of the SD card. In my case, it happens to be the D drive. Should just take a moment or a second for it to extract, and once it does, we're going to take out that micro SD card and we're going to put it into our LilyGo T-Deck Plus. Now we have our LilyGo, and we're going to put in our micro SD card on the side right where the power switch is. I've noticed that my font and my text on my micro SD card has to face down. And I plug this in, and we're going to turn this on. And look at MeshCore Lite, and there's all those channels we created. Let me see if I could zoom in for you. I'm so sorry that I was not recording, so I'm going to do this little portion again here. But there is way more that we can configure with this. And we can go into map tiles, which I think is probably better suited for a whole nother episode. But in short, there are map tiles available for MeshCore Lite. And look at this. The touchscreen is so much more responsive now than it was in the past with the old firmware that I reviewed a year ago. And I can click on things like public, and it's just very responsive, way better than it was. So here I clicked on test, and earlier I wrote a test message, and you could see that not only did I send a test message, but it did repeat 3 times. And then I send a middle finger because there's emojis over here, and you could actually send an emoji as well. Now, there's also predefined messages on here. And so, for example, if I click that little menu on the bottom left-hand side, I can click on any of these predefined messages, and it will autofill it into here, so I can click send. Another thing I can do is hit this little map arrow right here, and it will autofill the GPS coordinates for you. Even though I'm not your personal AI assistant, I did find on the GitHub page that there is a list of hints, control shortcuts, conversation list icons, and things that you might need to know about your status bar and much more. So go ahead and read that documentation and maybe even print it out. It could come in handy. I do want to point out that no matter where you are on the screen, if you were to click on the battery up here to get an idea of your battery percentage, it won't show you. Instead, it will tell you that, there's no map tiles installed on the SD card, which again, we will do at a later date. If I click the back button and I'm in this main screen here that shows all my channels, what I can do is I can click on SIM and I can click on 0, and this gets me into a configuration menu. So I don't need to always use the computer to configure things. And this is really nice because if you're out on the road and you're not near a computer and then you find out that you need to add a channel, you could do it. You could do that. So now we have in mind that this is much more capable, much more effective of a device in a standalone unit without a phone. Anyway, those were some of the things I wanted to show you today, and let's just see if we get any kind of response on the test channel. Check this out. Let's unlock this by holding down for 1 second, and it says, ha ha ha, DT portable received. So now we know that this is completely functional and it's working on the local mesh. It's repeating, it's receiving messages, it's sending messages. We're at a good point to say, hey, this device isn't so bad after all. I hope you all have a good one, and I hope you get to play a little bit with MeshCore Lite and experience it. Hey, as I conclude today's episode, I'm going to leave you with this, and I really do hope you understand what I'm saying. In a time where you might need to utilize this device for an emergency purpose, your AI assistant may not be there, Google might not be there, and more importantly, I might not be there. What I'm telling you is don't rely on anything but understanding the device yourself fully, so that when you utilize these tools in peace, you understand how they work when they matter the most. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have a good one, and I hope you become addicted to mesh.